Deep Dive by Global Heroes, your go-to for the real stories behind real heroes. Get more inspiring content in your inbox with our newsletter, and be sure to follow along on social media.
Okay, so let's unpack this deep dive. We're pointing straight at Digby, Nova Scotia. The sources we have really argue that a place's identity is.
Yeah.
It's tied to your active support.
Exactly. It's about that connection. What we're really tasked with here is understanding the economic and cultural mechanism behind it.
The mechanism, right?
Yeah. The sources frame appreciation not as just passive enjoyment, but as a kind of active, vital support for the history, the nature, the whole culture.
So our mission then is to show you how buying a product or booking a tour
Becomes the funding. It becomes the actual mechanism for preservation.
it's consumption driving conservation. And the sources promise a lot. They detail, 10 direct ways a visitor contributes to keeping the area alive.
They do.
So let's start with the one they're most famous for, the sea. Digby is the scallop capital of the world.
It is, and that title is, well, it's rooted in innovation. They're global leaders in sustainable harvesting. They pioneered something called the Digby drag.
The Digby drag, what exactly is that?
It's a specific, a low-impact trawling method. It's designed to minimize how much the seabed is disturbed. So what's fascinating is that every time you order those scallops, you're financially reinforcing the high environmental standards that method requires.
That's a great example. Innovation driving preservation. Okay, let's move from the harvest to conservation research. Whale watching off Briar Island.
Right.
You might just think you're on a fun boat ride, but your ticket, your booking, it directly supports conservation work.
The whole system is built right into the tourism.
Mm.
Those cruise operators, they basically function as citizen scientists.
So they're collecting data while they work.
They are. They're actively collecting and sharing data on marine mammals with global scientific bodies. It makes you an immediate participant. And what's more, Briar Island itself is this critical hub. It's one of Nova Scotia's most important nature sanctuaries.
Oh, wow.
And a vital stopover for migrating birds on the Atlantic Flyway. It's a huge deal.
That theme of innovation and adaptation just keeps going, even inland. Let's shift from protecting the ecosystem to preserving unique human history.
Absolutely. Let's take Electric City. It sounds futuristic, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
But this was one of Canada's earliest multicultural communities, and it was noted for innovation because it was powered entirely by hydroelectricity. That kind of historical commitment to natural power, it really sets a template.
And then there's Bear River, the village on stilts. I have to ask, the whole village is on stilts?
The whole village. It's an adaptation to the high tides and the soft river banks there.
That's incredible.
It is. And supporting its local galleries, the little eateries, the wineries, that's how that distinctive, slower pace of life is actually maintained. If you don't support those local places, the alternative is just, bigger homogeneous development. They can't replicate that unique structure.
And we can't forget the art. The sources point to Maud Lewis as a huge reason why folk art is even still a thing in the province today.
A monumental figure. Her ability to inspire millions all over the world, despite her disability and, frankly, her extremely difficult living conditions. It's the very definition of enduring commitment.
Absolutely.
And if we connect that commitment to heritage facts, Digby has more heritage lighthouses than anywhere else in Nova Scotia.
More than anywhere else.
Yeah. In an era where automated lights are the norm, that public appreciation for these old structures gives local advocates a much louder voice to fight for their official preservation.
And on the food and drink side, the Bear River hillside is the literal birthplace of winemaking in Nova Scotia. We're talking 1611.
Way back. So when you savor their wine, you are celebrating one of the oldest New World wine-growing regions. You're reinforcing centuries of agricultural heritage.
Finally, let's look at the water that defines them. The historic Digby Gut.
It's such a dynamic waterway. The massive Bay of Fundy tides keep it perpetually churning. The sources cite it as both an ancient Mi'kmaq route and Samuel de Champlain's historic passage to Port Royal.
And it's still in use today.
Still today. The fact that the Fundy Rose Ferry still crosses it ensures these vital stories of history and passage keep moving forward.
So if we pull this all together, the sources are really showing that every single facet of Digby, from that sustainable scallop drag to the vineyards from the 1600s, it's all a product of this enduring commitment from the locals.
And this is the key takeaway for you. Informed spending isn't charity. It's a direct economic reinforcement of a local cultural value system. Informed travel creates a direct path to preserving history in nature. It makes you an active stakeholder.
And that leads us to our final thought. I want you to think about the natural wonder there, known as the enduring balancing rock. This This geological structure has stood tall for millions of years.
Hmm.
Let that be a kind of metaphorical reminder, a reminder of that delicate, millions of years long process of just enduring the precise commitment that preservation mimics, and maybe the power of standing your ground and staying upright no matter what monumental forces try to knock you down.
That's it for today's deep dive. Want more? Stay connected with global heroes through our newsletter and socials.